Saya duduk sit dengan
Universiti Malaysia Pahang. His current research focuses on search-based software engineering, computational T-waves testing, and AI. And Prof. Kamal holds several research grants related to software testing, both from government and the industry. He also received several awards from national and international bodies. Now we have come forward towards the end of this to invite Prof. Kamal. And Prof. Kamal, the floor is yours. Please welcome.
Test. Okay.
Keyboard dah berok pula dah.
Berok dah. Test. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. First of all, I would like to thank the Faculty of System Maklumat, not mistaken, for inviting me to give this talk on high impact publication in computer science. So I'm facing a lot of experts in front of me. So what I'll be doing is I'll be sharing my experience doing this. So I'm going to use some of my experience coming from my own papers and my own work, so that we can share with each other. If what I said is actually a good thing, you can follow. If you think what I did is not a good thing, we're welcome to to discard or ignore it. Okay. So how am I going to do this? Share screen. Yes. Okay. You can control this like a little. Okay, what I'm going to do today is roughly, this is my outline. I'm going to talk about introduction, some introduction about publication and so forth. And then we're going to talk about research cycle, and then planning and writing, and then submission review process. And I'm going to give you some sort of a summary of all what I'm going to give. Okay. Now, as I said, we this screen is okay. Really more of sharing our experience. By no means I'm going to give you a lecture. So what I've experienced, I give. So I'm not going to give you something from the book. This is actually from what happened to me and what we can share. So everybody has different experience. So this experience I'm going to share with you. So basically, I'm not asking you to repeat after me what I said. I'm going to follow. So that's not what I meant to say. And I'm also not going to prove that 1 over x minus a is equal to infinity. In other words, because, and then you know that it's equal to infinity, but if you, it's difficult, I don't have the control. I don't want you to get a wrong impression that because this is 1 over x over a, this is equal to infinity, and when this is equal to 5, and this is equal to 5. So I'm not going to, not going to try to mislead you, but I'm trying my best to share. Again, I'm saying sharing of experience. Okay. I'm going to go next. Okay. Many examples in actually is actually from my own experience. They are probably limited, so I have a small knowledge from the big ocean. Okay. Then the presentation may be skewed toward my research background. Okay. And some of my information are actually from my friend. We actually share slides with from Professor Rashid from USM. So my 2 biggest challenge in this talk is actually to stimulate your interest so that you'll be interested, and to make sure that your time hearing what I said is not wasted. Okay, you're probably going to say 1 hour is wasted hearing him talking. So this is my biggest challenge that I take as a challenge. Okay. Now, my background. So my area of interest is actually on software engineering, in particular relating to T-way testing. Okay. I did a bit on optimization and computation intelligence, and this is only my side of the story. Okay. So again, I'm expressing to you from my experience. Okay. So basically, why we do research? Okay. Some people do research to become famous. Okay. And to make money. And some people do because of responsibility. For example, you did research to solve real problems that people are facing. So, okay. So people do it differently. Okay. Now, some people, they are doing it, to solve human problems. Let's say you have COVID-19, you did research to find a cure for COVID-19. For example, some people doing it because they want to be famous. They're the one who first E equal to MC square, and they become famous. Okay. And also some are because they want to get promoted. Okay. So that different people have different goals. For example, if you just on the side of it, some people, for example, playing football in the afternoon, you probably will know that some people play football because they like football. Some people play football because maybe next to the football place is actually a ladies' hostel. So they probably want to, to tackle a girl to be his girlfriend. So different people have different purposes of doing things. So this is common things that people do. You may think of why you did it, okay, by yourself. Okay. So the first thing that we have to know is that you must set a focus, associate your name with a particular area of research. In particular, okay, for example, you want to focus on an area where people will know you. For example, oh, this guy, his area is this. Okay, so you want to profess on some area. Okay, and then you need to prove that whenever you go for a professor interview, they ask you, what area do you profess in? And you probably say, okay, I profess in this area. And then they say, how can we know this is your area that you profess in? So then you can know that from your publication, from your grants, from your keynotes, and so forth. So there's always a danger of being a passenger and be jack of all trades. That means you are a professor of everything, okay? You did, for example, computer science, you're also database expert, security expert, software engineering expert, IT expert, everybody. And you look at all your papers, you have everything in this computer science you are expert in. So this is another particular thing that you really have to be careful. Then people will not say, how do he be expert in all things? Okay. Aha. I cannot move again. Why is it hanging? I'm going to use this. Okay. So first thing, this is general, again, this is general introduction. Try to have a focused research. In order to focus research, you have to look into yourself, okay? Maybe do a SWOT analysis, looking at your strength, looking at your limitation, opportunities and threats. For example, you are not good in programming, so don't make an area where you need a lot of programming. You are not good in this area, and try to fit in the area where you think you are good in and you can contribute. Okay? Because sometimes if you do a research that you're not good in, maybe your starting point is minus 50 meters, while everybody else is starting at 0, or somebody else may be starting at 50 meters ahead. 500 meters, okay? So if you don't do your sort of SWOT analysis, then you might not be, you might probably starting, especially for PhD students. They're finding a topic, they are not good in programming, then by choosing that subject, they probably is in minus 100 meters, while they're running 40 meters, 400 meters. So really way behind. So really you have to look into, you know, your strength. So plan your grant, or your publication or your talk into your, you know, your area that you think is good in, and expand your network with other researchers worldwide. So every time I have to admit, so apparently I'm the, okay. Why is it? Okay. I'm not trying to show me what I am. I'm sorry, I'm saying my external experience. So you can see that when I did mine, I decided that my area will be testing. So all my PhD students have a word, PhD thesis have a word testing. You can see that T-way testing, harmony search, T-way, all my students are working on the area of the same testing. So then I told you, what is your area? I'm working on testing. So I have all my PhD students, all either have meta-heuristic algorithm in the name of the thesis or testing in the name of the thesis. So what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to focus on an area where people should know me. This guy is doing testing. This guy is doing optimization, for example. Okay, so you can do this by, and also even my my co, well, I'm co also, I cannot show. Now I can do. Oh, I cannot use this now. Okay. Also on testing on this area. Okay. So before you start, I know all of you know this. Okay, I'm going to go quickly this, but whenever you play a game, you want to dance on the floor, you need to know how the floor like. You need to know what is your parameter that sort of influence what you did. Okay, for example, you need some minimally knowledge on impact factor, quartiles, H index. This is very important. If you are doing writing, you need to know this. That's why I said this as minimalist knowledge. You don't have to be expert in this, but you just have to know. Okay. I know in UKM everybody knows this, so I'm going to go very quickly for the sake of somebody who didn't know. Okay. So you have, for example, this, for example, impact factor calculation. Okay. So basically, journal have impact factor, but the impact factor is based on the citation of this. Okay, if you look at this, for example, I cannot use this. Okay, so basically, it's based on how many times that journal is cited per period of time. Okay, and then you get an impact factor. Okay, so sometimes because with impact factor, then you can say that that journal is good with some impact factor. That means there are people who reach and cite those. Okay. Now, you can look into, for example, in JCR, you probably will see, for example, on the, I have used this. So some in area, for example, a journal, for example, in computer science information system, this journal is Q1. So in ISI, they are actually divided into 4 quartiles. Okay. 75% top journal, these are Q1. Okay, 25%, 50%, 75%, 75% to 100%. Okay, and Q2 is actually between 75, 50 to 75. Okay, those are Q2. Q3 is 25 to 50, and 0 to 25 is actually Q4. So this is on ISI. So you can look up this into JCR source where you can, in some particular area, the journal can be Q1, but in other particular area, they can be Q2, and so forth. So you need to be able to know this. Okay, and you can see, for example, this one, this number is 95%. This is top 95% journal in computer science, for example. Okay, and this is, you need to know, I think all of you know this, but just for the sake of argument, for me to start the talk. Okay, H index also, again, everybody or some journal in Scopus are associated with H index. A person is also associated with H index. You need to know what H index is. So let me try to quickly explain to you. For example, this guy having article 1.3, article 2.3, article 3.4, the H index is 3. Okay, because the maximum citation head is actually 3 for all the 3 papers. Okay, although the last one is at 4. This is, for example, he has 2,000, he has 5 million. 5 million. What is the H index for this guy? He has one article very popular, cited by 5 million people. So the H index is actually equal to
5 million.
5 million? No, it's equal to 2. Yeah, because there are 2 is the maximum. Although he has 5 million citation, the H index is equal to 2. Similarly here, H index is still 3. Yeah, no. How to get H index 4? Why is H index equal to 3? 1, this is wrong, okay? This is 3, 3. Yeah, this is 3. Yeah, it's still 3, okay? Okay, so you should be able to know how to do H index for your sake. Sometimes people want to be famous, how to increase the H index to be 4. So for this one, he has to make Y to make 4. This is 3, 3, 3. This one has to be 1, has to be 4. Or this one will be 4, then H index is 4. Okay, this also you need to, this is common sense. You don't have to be expert, just know how to calculate H index, just know where is the quartile of that journal, and so forth. Okay, and this one, H index is 5. Okay, and so think about it. Okay, so this is almost like a quiz that you have to know. It's really the most minimum that all the paper is counted, and how many you can get. The maximum is H index is the all the paper counted. What is the common value for all of them? Okay, then you can get H index. Okay, for what is the maximum achievable H index here? It's 2 only. He has another paper to be cited 3 times, then the H index become 3. Okay, and they have 4 paper, then H index become 4. All 4, then 4. Okay, so this is this again. Okay. Sometimes you need to do H index. Maybe in the future, I don't know. Maybe in the future will be different criteria. You can normally, to get very high citation, you do systematic literature review. But this is not a good. Worst case is I cite you, you cite me. This is not a good one. Also, pay other people to cite you. I pay you $1 if you cite my paper. So that is another not so good one. But this is also another game you can play. Okay. You know, if this is a criteria for person, everybody say, please cite my paper so that you can get more promoted. Okay, this is one of the criteria. Okay, so journal also in Scopus have H index, so I'm going to skip that. Okay, so basically I'm going to talk a little bit about research cycle. Basically, you probably first you identify your research area, design research study, carry out research, analyze research result, and publish results. Okay, and this is typical what we do. Okay, for doing research. Okay, now and all this have the pitfalls and you know some people have different experience. Okay, in doing this. Okay, so typically from research output, you can get publication, you can commercialize, or you can patent. Okay, and some people, this cartoon is very nice. You know, you just realize that he rubs the thing, but it's actually he's doing basic research, you know, to light up a fire. So, okay. So I always use this for my writing. You really have to have a research gap. Whenever you write paper, you have to research gap, and you really have to know what is your contribution for that work that you did, and you really have the objective, the aim of your work, and then you have to show your in your result you expect to show. And this is maybe benchmarking with others, and one is demonstrating your novelty through a case study. So this is typical. I'm going to show you how my writing is going to follow this. Okay, in a few minutes. Okay, okay. So I'm done with introduction. So introduction, I'm introducing you about what you need to do to know. You need to know what kind of type of papers you want to do, H index, and then you have to plan what area you're going to focus in. So if you're a new researcher, you should try to focus an area and then try to associate your name with that area, so that when people will talk to you, what is your area? And people not sure. His area is computer science, okay? Everything, okay? But you really have to focus on one, okay? So basically, now we're going to part two, preparing the manuscript, okay? So publication is like playing a game. Really, you play a game. Maybe, have you not this game, I don't know what this game called in English though. This is Damula. What do you call it in English? Snake Dam. Okay. So this whenever you play this game, okay, you can. There's always you're already improving something, but this Ula will catch you and you fall back to where you are before. Okay, if you're lucky, you can get then you can get promoted very high. So really, publication is like this. Okay, so you must know the strategy to play. Okay, must know the pitfalls. Okay, so you cannot be like saying, "Hey, Sarah, whatever will be, will be." So in other words, you just, oh, whatever I do, you know, get lucky, I survive. You know, if you don't. In Malay, they say there's always I told my students, macam mana paper kita? I told them, okay, kalau sabut timbullah kita, kalau batu tenggelamlah kita. Okay, so maknanya this is hoping for the luck. Okay, qada dan qadar, ialah nasib kita macam ni. Okay, so you cannot be doing that. You really have to have a strategy. Okay, so I always stress this because I don't want people to say I'm showing what I did, but I'm trying to tell you the experience I had. Okay, so what works for me may not work for you. So that's what first thing I'm going to say. Again, hello. So I'm worried now. Okay. So first thing, when you start to do research or writing papers, okay, you need to plan. Okay, if you fail to plan, you plan to fail. Okay, you really have to plan. What are you going to do? So typically, although not exactly like this, you're going to have all this abstract introduction, literature review, method and data analysis and result discussion, conclusion. So this is the plan. You really have to have a plan before you start. Okay. So now you have to ask the problem you are trying to solve. Is the problem new and interesting? Is the problem a current hot topic? Have you provided a solution to some difficult problem in this thing that you're going to write? So you really have to find the problem. Is the problem really a hot topic? Before you write, you really have to find. You might want to do something which is actually people have done long time ago. So maybe that is not a hot topic. Okay. So I have to emit another one. Okay, we do this. Okay, first thing is that you go and read the review paper. Okay, so or you talk with known expert in the field. Okay, so for example, we had 2 reviews paper here. Okay, so one thing you want to find the hot topic is look at the review paper, what the review paper says. about the current future work. Okay. Now, if you do that, okay, so you, for example, there's a one section called possible direction for the future. Okay, from the review paper, and this paper says the first one is actually I have to admit another. Okay, first thing you say that you have to, for example, this one is saying first is hybrid meta-heuristic. The paper, this is our paper. We say that for this area of two-way testing, you have to do hybrid meta-heuristic, and then you say in the paper hyper-heuristic, and you say in the paper machine learning, and you say cloud-based solution. This is, we say in our review paper, these are the new area that we can venture into for this particular topic that you need to venture in the future. So we have hybrid, hyper, machine learning, multi-objective, and cloud-based solution. Okay, I'm going to share you an interesting thing. Okay, this is what we said. Okay, and then let me tell you that a few years ago, or 10 years ago, whenever we did any AI algorithm to testing, our papers get accepted in high impact journal. But now, come 2020, no longer hot topic, got many rejection, difficult to publish just using a standard algorithm. Okay, I'll share with you later what I mean by this. Okay, now having learned from that, okay, we did some adjustment. So we bring in hyper heuristic. Remember that our paper was saying in the future direction hyper heuristic. So we did this hyper heuristic. So we did 40-way hyper heuristic, which we actually projected in our review paper. And we said that machine learning, we said fuzzy adaptation, we did multi-objective, we did multi-objective. So what we say in our review paper, we actually implement as our own research. Okay, so you see this hyper-heuristic. So remember our review paper? We said in our review paper that we have to do hyper-heuristic, multi-objective, machine learning. So we did what we say in, so it's actually a hot topic that people are doing, and we're actually doing it, but we know this is actually the area that people are working on this area. So this is what one we that we did. Okay. I cannot control from this. Okay. Okay. Previous. I just want to share with you. Sorry. Previous. Remember that we say that in our review paper, it could be other people's review paper, okay? But we say one is hyper-heuristic. We say that hyper-heuristic is actually an area where you can improve this area of testing. And we say multi-objective, we say that. And then what we say, we implement in our own research. That's why our paper also get accepted, still get accepted, but we have some adjustment of what we did before, okay? Next. Oh. Next. Okay, so you have to decide first you find the current hot topic in the area that you're working on, and then you decide on what kind of article you want to do, full article, letters, or review papers, okay? Every time I have to do this, okay? Now, so you need to find a research problem. Okay, what is this problem? And to write a problem statement, what did it contribute for good research problem? Okay, now, okay, I like this, I've been using this table for so long, okay, to tell my student what do you mean by research problem, okay? Let's say, for example, you have two cliffs, okay, and this cliff is divided by rivers or ocean, whatever. And you want to cross this cliff, okay? You want to cross this cliff. Now, there are many solutions that people have done. People have developed this kind of bridge, or this kind of bridge, or this kind of bridge, this kind of bridge, and different kind of bridge. So the typical problem is they're missing, they got the general problem. So we know the general problem is I want to cross the bridge. But the actual specific problem is you have to know how people solve this problem before. Okay? What is the limitation of the previous solution, rendering the need of your solution? Unless you are the first one to do this, then you can build a bridge. But if other people have done, then you have to know what is the limitation of A, B, C, D, what are the strengths, A, B, C, D, and so forth, rendering the need of your solution. So you cannot say that you ask the student, why do you do this? Well, for example, I have an optimization problem. Why you solve, for example, there are too many, you want to choose from 100 or 1,000 of solution, you want to choose one best solution. And people ask you why you did this. Well, in testing, if you did this, that you have so many things to test, you want to minimize the test. So this is my problem. But that's not the, that's only a general problem because other people have solved the problem. So what is the limitation of the solution being by other researchers that you have to highlight? Okay, in other words, here, so what you did is you can take some of the work, previous work, and you can modify, and you can, this is my solution. So meaning maybe the solution of this has limitation, don't have this bar, and you created this bar. So what you did is you did a new model, you evaluate and you benchmark against how people have solved this thing before. So in other words, a lot of people, they miss this. They always say, well, my problem is I want to cross the bridge. So I built a solution that crossed the bridge. So give me my master's or PhD. So they miss the point that they have to know how other people are doing, what are the strengths and limitations, what other people are doing, rendering the need of your solution. Meaning, these are limitations, oh, I have one limitation that nobody has addressed, so I'm addressing it, but I still take some of the characteristics from previous work, but I put into mine, so I have my solution here. So this is the thing. So you have a specific problem against the general problem. Okay, so you have to understand this. Okay. Okay, this is also another slide that I've always used. If I were you, if there are two slides that you keep for you, is these two slides. Okay. The other one is you have to know what is the research contribution. Okay. So my experience is that I have one PhD student. My first PhD student, I still remember him. So he did a lot of work. So I told him, until you get Q1, I won't sign you. Because I was only a doctor. So I told him, you no Q1, no PhD for you. So I had to keep fighting with the student. No, you're unfair. No. I'm not sure what his contribution. So when he got Q1, then we get him into sign into. So my standard was high, and suddenly now I become, as I understood life, I became. But last time I was very tough. No, because I'm not sure myself, because I'm a new researcher, I'm not sure what constitute the PhD contribution. So to them, Q1 is contribution. No, Q1, no contribution. Okay. But it's good, the student got into Q1. Anyway, so basically, I've always used this too for my work. Apply old theory in a new field. For example, hyperheuristic has been used a lot in timetabling. So a new field is testing. So there's a lack of people doing testing, or I'm among the first to do it. So then I take this, I put into software testing. So this is this is what I did. Okay. So I also a new model or perspective from existing model. We have, for example, our work. I'm biased here. There's a lot of people doing an algorithm called sine cosine, for example. So we put Q learning into sine cosine. So we apply it to T-way testing. Then that's another. You're actually doing a new model perspective from existing model, okay? And you have here new research model, framework, algorithm, or strategy, whatever. You can have a new way of doing things, okay? New way of or maybe a new model for this, and then using new mathematical model for doing timetabling, or new model for doing testing, whatever. You can have this new model. So this is always, if I did something, I always use this, because original critics, you can do this. New generalizable conclusion, this original work, and so there are also new things, but I've always do this. Consciously, I always do, when student ask me now, is it your contribution? I ask them, any one of you contribute in this area? Then we decide, oh, okay, this is a good contribution. And this is a good contribution to the paper that we're gonna write. Okay, so this is what we see this. And I always keep these two slides with me. The previous one and this slide, to explain to people what is the problem we want to solve, you know, is that a contribution or not? Okay. Okay, there's always a typical problem that people have done. They're saying that nobody has done it before. Okay, nobody has do jalan itik from this faculty to masjid. Okay, so therefore, this is for the kind, so this is contribution. Okay, so you did something which is so obvious that nobody has done it. So that not necessarily mean this is actually a good contribution. Okay, there's a lot of people fall into this. When you go to people, they say, okay, nobody has done it before. Okay, I said, hey, yeah, nobody. But do you think this so obvious thing that people are not doing because it's so obvious? Sometimes it's so obvious that people have not done it. Okay, then you know there's no contribution in it. For example, like I said, jalan itik from this faculty to masjid UKM. And then when you done that, okay, lepas tu masjid lain pula. Okay, jalan itik pula ke Putrajaya. So these are the things you cannot contribute in this kind of thing because there's no problem. The people can walk. Why you jalan itik? People can walk, and people can take a car. And because nobody has done it, you said then this is actually a good thing to do. No, it's not a good thing to do. So really have to, whenever you propose something that you're writing, sometimes what you think is actually very obvious that there's no need to do it, unless you're crossing a cliff that you really want to cross the other side. There's something useful that you did. But doing jalan itik to masjid, mungkin dapat pahala lebih lah sebab kan gerakan sikit kan, mungkin duduk susah dan mungkin pahala lebih. Mungkin, tapi kalau you sakit, tapi kalau you sehat, mungkin dapat dosa berlaku agak ngacau orang lain kan. So that kind of thing. Okay, so you really have to know the danger of not having a gap. Okay, so clearly state your contribution. When I write a paper, in the introduction, I said the contribution of the work is, I will always tell the reviewer what is my contribution. Okay, because if you don't do that, the reviewer will have a hard time thinking, what is the contribution here? Okay, that's why you will do this yourself. Let me do this. Okay. So you have, for example, because I'm biased. I'm sorry, I'm biased because I told you that what I'm going to give you today is from my experience, so that I'm going to tell you what my experience is. And it so happens I have to give my paper because not because I want to show I did a paper, but to show that how my thinking is going, so that we can learn. At least you, if you can learn something. If you think this is good, you can learn it. Then you probably don't have to learn. Okay, and then you have, for example, this one. A lot of work on three-way testing was based on original algorithm. Okay, and then you said that hybridization can be a key feature to this because one algorithm can compensate the limitation of one with the strength of others. So my argument is this: why I use hyperheuristic? That because let's say one algorithm, GA, for example. Okay, if you think GA is like you're trying to catch a fish, GA is like fishing using fishing rod. And then you have PSO is like fishing using a net. And the other one using a different type. So if you combine those fishing, chances are you can get a good, better result. So that's why the idea is that you can compensate, you can benefit from compensating the limitation of one algorithm with the strength of other. Okay. And then here I said, here our contribution can be summarized as follows. In the introduction, I tell the reviewer that my contribution is what. So then reviewer don't have to strain his head and think of what is the contribution of this paper, okay? But you tell them in the introduction. So always the last sentence before next section, you tell them, okay, for example, a novel hyperheuristic which based on blah, 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 okay? And then you have a new selection mechanism based on 3 operator. So this is your new contribution that you contribute. You tell the reader what is your contribution, okay? You tell them why you did, what have people have done, and why are you contributing, and then what is your contribution? You know, what is the gap in knowledge? The gap in knowledge that you are the first one to do this technique into a testing domain, okay? And then you did create a new algorithm for it, okay? So this is one. So you tell them the gap, and you tell them what is your contribution, okay? And I found out that this is a good practice, okay? When you tell the reader in the introduction, in the end, you tell our contribution is, you tell them, okay? So we did this in many other papers also, okay? And we tell them, this is the gap. And then we tell them our contribution can be summarized as follows. And this is our contribution, okay? We use this Mamdani type fuzzy in that, okay? And then the first TLBO that does this, okay? The faster, okay, previous. Similarly, this one also. Okay, so for every paper that we write now, in the introduction, we tell you what is the problem. Can I, if I talk of problem, you understand? I think Prof Zamli very expert, faham. Orang lain. Maksudnya, if I talk about meta-heuristic, then, for example, is the TLBO is actually an algorithm where there are 2 phases, a student and learner. But unlike other algorithm, TLBO is actually a parameter-free algorithm. There's no control. That means the exploitation are fixed. In other words, first they do teacher, which is explore, and then learner explore one after the other. So the problem is that when you are converging, let's say this is the best here, you are converging because you alternate. You should do a local search after that, but you did a global search, you miss the point. So that's what we were arguing. Then we say, and then we say that's our contribution. Okay. Okay. All right. In other papers also, we write the contribution of our paper is, we always say the contribution to the reader. Okay, when the reader reads, oh, this paper, this is a contribution. So this is a good practice to do. And in other paper also, we did this. All our new papers, we have a gap, a general problem, specific problem, and then the contribution. Specific problem means like general means you cross over the cliff, general. Specific means what people have solved, the problem that's solution now, and then your contribution to address that problem. Okay. So that is the finish the first part. So you really, first you have to find an area where you want to work with. Normally, typically, if you're new to it, read the review research review paper. From that review paper, try to get your problem statement. And then for get problem statement, try to solve that problem, and you can identify what is your solution that addressing the limitation of the problem that how people solve now. Maybe how people solve now, there's a problem with it, but you want to solve that problem. Then you can write that as part of your introduction. The contribution of the work is as follows. Then 1, 2, 3, and so forth. Okay. So this is the introduction. Okay. And when you did the literature review, a lot of people when did literature review, they're actually reporting. Dia macam bulletin utama lah. Okay. Hari ini ada 3 kes COVID-19. Okay. Besok ada 5 kes COVID-19. Okay. This kind of thing. These are, but the review should have been, today we have 3 COVID-19. The reason being is that, so this is actually critically, SOP is not followed, there are few areas here and there. So those are not reporting, those are critically reviewed. Okay, so you have to be able to differentiate between the two. So for literature review, you need to have a lot of critical comments, okay, about the work of A is good, however. So always a lot of mistake that people have done, which I have done also in the past, that I've always say that the work by A is very limited. Work as A does not cover that kind of statement is very dangerous. You really have to say in the other way around. Okay? While the work of A usefully address this, however, a counter argument suggests, so you always be kind to other people. They have done it before you. A lot of PhD students will write this, the work is A is limited. The work is B also limited. All other work are limited except his work. So this is very, very wrong. Very wrong. I did this last time, and the reviewer says, and it happens that he's the one who writes the paper. But how good is your work compared to mine? You cannot write like you really have to write. The work usefully addresses this. However, a counter, a closer look reveal few limitations or several limitations. At least you tell him good thing about this, okay, about the work. Or you can write, for example, the work by A has given a different focus, but you're trying to say it's no good, but don't just say has given a different focus, okay, rather than saying the work of A is actually limited, the work as A is actually all negative things. You really have to learn to write in a positive way. Give credit to people. Don't promote yourself too much, okay? You give my contribution, but at the same time, you give credit where the credit is due. Okay, so this typical people will have make the mistake. I also made the mistake, but now I learned from it. So I know when my student wrote, you cannot do this. This is a sweeping statement. All the work so far has only do this. This is also very bad. Okay, all the work so far has only done this. You cannot do this. You really have to say, the work so far has usefully addresses this area. However, not much focus has been put on. So that is a soft way. You are trying to say the same thing, but in a rather slow tone, rather than very, decisive tone, which is not so good. Okay. Okay. Now, okay for a moment, and then suddenly, mungkin tukar juga bateri sekali. Okay. Okay. Writing literature review. There are a lot of things that we always face. One is there are too much work to review. I face this problem. So what you need to do, you can cluster them into a group. For example, this one, our new paper that we are writing, we cluster them into, MAWP, MASP, SANP. So you group work on these clusters, and then you comment based on clusters. Okay, this is typical. If your work, as so many people have done, you need to review them. You can review related based on clusters, grouping. Some are swarm intelligent, they are swarm. Some are, neighborhood-based. You lump them together, and you can comment generally about the features, the strength and limitation of them. Okay, this typically, if you have so many things to review. Otherwise, not so many, then you can review one by one. Okay, so also give opinion on their strength and limitation of the approach. You must be nice. You have to say the strength of others with their strength. You have to say, if the work of A, you have to tell them both, strength and limitation. You cannot just say all the bad thing about the work also. Okay, you have to you have to tell both. Okay, all right. So this is typical. For example, we did a TLBO. We said modified TLBO, hybrid TLBO, and also we have a cooperative TLBO, and we comment about each one of them. So we group them because too many things to work on this, so we cannot review all of them. So we group them into a group, and then we comment on each group. If there are not many, then you can review all of them. But then if there are many, you can group the literature review. And the comment has to be you know, thus you have to cannot be guaranteed even when the slight modification is the same instance of the same problem. You really have to comment. It can be bulky. You can see the statement I did. Although it can be useful. So see, I'm telling, yeah, this is good. However, you know, you have to say, you cannot say that. For this thing, you can say that, for example, that all TLBO is bulky, all hybrid are bulky. You can do that, a statement which means the same thing. But when you write this, I said, although can be useful, but I want to say can be bulky and heavy. I told her all hybrid are bulky and heavy. I can do that statement, but that statement is actually making people angry. Why you? Oh, mine is good. Why you say mine bulky? You know, but I say like that, say, oh, usefully, but are the small thing that you did. Okay, so you have to learn how to write like this. Okay. Okay, and he said, what address large problem this, tasks are split into this. Okay, and then he said, I highlighted the earliest. Okay, similarly, so I'm trying the good thing about this. Okay, but here is our applicable to one and not sufficiently general. I said not sufficiently general. So I said they're general but not sufficient. So this is also a word that I use, not sufficiently, give a different focus, just to, so that you can argue with them, so that you can write a softer comment rather than too harsh on it. This is bulky. This is, then people are angry. And it happens that the reviewer is actually the guy who wrote the paper. Wow, you say it's bulky, reject your paper, for example. Okay, so you really have to be careful. Okay. Review and also give opinion. So this is what you did. You review other people and you give opinion. Been limited. Okay, for this reason, there has been limited small interactions. You give them comment on what your review is. Okay, you really have to, like I said, you cannot be reporting like activity girl. Today there's 3 COVID-19. Yesterday was 5. And this is like reporting, but you really have report and then give your opinion on why that is the case. Okay, and so forth. Okay. Here you can see here the word as many especially our word there. Okay, so we compare other people's work. We say what other people differs than our work. Okay, and then this one I'm commenting. Just I'm commenting my own. Here, the ISA session are too strict supporting Boolean because I'm strict here because I'm commenting on my own work. I said my previous work was lousy also, so I did this new work. So I said too strict, but I refer to my own work previously. So then okay, it's my own work. Okay. So if we can get my own work, I say it's too strict. Okay, but previously I say it's good, but now I say it's too strict because I'm trying to tell you a new problem that I'm trying to solve. Okay. So again, is computationally heavy? Again, this is also I'm telling you about my own previous work, so that I can do another work from that work. Okay. So again, generally, when you write your comment, other people try to be nice, give useful, helpful, this kind of thing, but comment only small thing that you can do, and so you can contribute. Okay, and also if your literature review are too many, try to cluster them, group them into certain clusters. So you can, so example of these clusters are this, and you can comment generally for this particular approach that being used to solve that problem. So then you can save time rather than having to review all of them. Okay. What is this coming up? Okay. Now, having done literature review, now you need to describe your results. Okay. A lot of people miss this. Okay, when they show the results. Okay, first thing is the look. Okay, some people just do pen to do drawing. Pen, you know, and the drawing was very rough drawing. Some people take a table, snapshot, and then put the table in, and you see the word is commenting. Kataan tu ada apa, underline meaning, and also that in the table. So this kind of thing, when you write a good paper, the looks must be professional look. You cannot be drawing or sometimes scanning a diagram from a paper, and the diagram was so hard to see, so it's better for you to redraw the diagram. Even but give reference, but redraw the diagram so that you get a good presentation. Okay, so include detailed information. Okay, do not repeat detail of published methods. Use clear diagram. Indent the algorithm nicely. Some people have the algorithm, they give some different font, some Time Roman, the other one is different. And when I ask them, why is the algorithm different? They say, oh, I take it from the author. So they review the algorithm was drawn differently by the author, and you have different formatting. You have to change that author into your own, so that you have consistent algorithm the rest of the paper. Although you have to change the algorithm representation from the original author, because you really have to have a consistent. Some people give reason. For example, I took from the paper. So macam tu lah. Okay. Macam tu lah kenapa? Ubah. Kata you can ubah. Consistency matters. Then you ubah tapi you still reference to him. But you have to follow your format. Okay. Typical also, when, although it's not related here, relating to reference. When we complain about reference, oh, not my problem, EndNote problem. Ni, not because me. EndNote bagi macam ni. Okay. This is EndNote problem. Sebenarnya it's not EndNote problem. It's your problem in putting the data wrongly. Hence, EndNote will give you a wrong data. I cut and paste from internet, so I get this. So correct. No, I said no. You have to consistent, even in reference. Okay, consistent. You cannot blame software like EndNote or Mendeley problem. Not my problem. Mendeley problem. All not your problem. It's actually your problem. You have to check. Okay, that your reference is actually consistent and so forth. Okay. Because when you look at a first impression, you look into your paper. If I were to review, I look at the scan through. If you know that you are not, your diagram was lousy, I will immediately reject, because I know that you are not, that if your diagram, you cannot make a simple thing that you cannot make as good as you can, of course the writing will be, you know, whatever you want. Okay, so that is the impression that you do. So then you have to do this in a proper way. Okay. Now because I did a lot with algorithms, okay, I've always make it a fuss that I give an algorithm, I will go line 1 to 3, I will explain my algorithm. Because I did a lot of algorithms, so I always explain line 1 to 3, I did this, 3 to 5, I did this. But a lot of people sometimes they give, they don't give anything, they say that the algorithm can be given in figure 1, okay, and they did not explain the algorithm. So you have to learn to be able to explain. So I explained each individual line that I did, line 17, line 18, line, because they're computer science. So we explained the line. Even all the lines I did, I explained. You know, then you have to explain. Some people, they explain with block diagram, and then they give argument, also can. But I would always explain line by line from the pseudocode of the algorithm. If you did algorithm, then you might as well good for you to explain the algorithm. That shows that you know what you're doing. Okay, so I revisit this. Okay, just now we talked about this, and we talked about experimental goal, and we talked about how you evaluate research question, and so I'm going to talk about this for you to write your result. Okay, you have know how to write literature review, your methods that you have to propose work, and now you're writing your results. Okay, so let me go here now. What works for me is that I did, for every result I reported, I always tell them my related goals. So the experiment focused on 3 related goals, 3 related goals, or 2 related goals. So I've always tell me what is this goals, so that I can tell this goal is for benchmarking others, this goal is to demonstrate my novelty. So I've always do this. In my experiment, you see all my papers, this experiment is related to what goal. And then I'm gonna take each goal, whether I'm gonna give a research question on that goal, or I'm going to discuss on this goal and what have I done to achieve that goal. So I've always had a focus to do. So that's why I have this diagram. Boleh, tak boleh. Lah, quickly. Sorry. Share screen again. Yeah. Okay. Sorry for the delay. Okay. So this is the objective of my work, the aim or objective of my maybe my research. But on the paper, this has to address the objective from my work on the experiment that we did. And the experiment can be benchmarking with others. Maybe if you build a bridge, I want to whether my work behave as a bridge like other bridges. Okay, and then what is my novelty claim? Then I have to show in my experiment, this is novelty claim, how I differ than others. Okay, so then you have this, you have to benchmark with others, and you have to demonstrate your novelty in your experiment to show that your claim, my contribution is this. Then you have to show in experiment that you have this. Okay, these are examples of what we did. The two goals. First, we compare. You can see the goals to characterize the performance of the cross distribution. So they have all mine have this goal. Okay, and some of the goal. Okay, we in line with the goal above, we focus on answering the research question. You can also from the goal tabulate your research question, and then you go each research question and what you did to address this research question. Table 1 highlight, for example, in what way the use of improve the original EQ. Then you say what you did. In other words, you have this goal and how the research question addressing this goal that you are doing. Okay, you can do that also, but it's not a must, but that would guide you into your writing. That can guide you into your writing. Otherwise, you lose ideas what to write. Okay, so you can do that also. Okay. This is also some methodological support. For example, you want to make sure that your experiment is actually repeatable by other researchers. That you have to tell them what are the settings that you use to do your experiment, what are the computers that you use to set the experiment, what are the parameters that you set so that your result will be repeatable. In other words, I can challenge your work. Hey, your work, I tested here, use the same setting that you did. How come I didn't get the same work, the same result? Then this is also questionable that you really have to do. Okay, and you really have to do what are the case study objects that you choose, where they are coming from. Okay, and what are the metrics that you're using to do your measurement? You have to explain the metric and what are the statistical analysis, if there are, that you use, that you have to use in the paper. So in the end, people can repeat what you did and know which method they use. He's using this method, he's using that, he's using this setting, whatever setting. So I can have a lot of people when they in our university, but we look into this. Oh, this paper have many citations. That means the work is actually shows that you actually an expert in that field. That could be a positive thing. Yeah. Kadang-kadang action that ni manipulate. Kalau dia ramai student, wajibkan semua student highlight site dia tu naik lah. That can be done. Okay, so a lot of things I'll share with you. Let me see how much I have. Okay, I think saya dah lebih masa ni, tapi tak apa. Few more minutes. Okay. One of the things you have to look at the reviewer as trying to help. Okay. A lot of people. Okay. A lot of people when this last part. Okay. Last part dealing with reviewers. Okay. A lot of people when they look at reviewer, they look at reviewer as an enemy or people on the other side. The reviewer is actually trying to help, trying to improve the paper. So in the sense that whenever you interact with reviewers, when the reviewer gives you a suggestion, so much so you have to try and address the suggestion. Okay, you can rebut, but rebut in a very professional way. Okay, if they ask you to add this experiment, I would add the experiment if I can. If I cannot, I add an alternative experiment. I explain to them why. Okay, why? So I did something rather than you say, sorry, you don't understand my work. Okay, I'm not addressing this problem because you don't understand my work. So you cannot be doing that. You really have to be polite and try to address the problem. I will share with you some of the comments I had. Okay, in writing papers. Okay. Okay. So I will always do this. Be polite. Try to address all the comments. Okay. Agree with comment if the comment has merit. Otherwise, need to do rebuttal. So one of the biggest problem with this paper is flaw in comparison. HHS is based on hyperrealistic where they will consume much more fairness evaluation than PSO, and and then you have this, and then you did this comments, why you did this and how you address this. Okay, so you really have to address, try to, but be polite. Okay. Okay, when you agree, the author has some reference, so you put the reference, you agree with them. Okay. This is rebuttal. See how we did rebuttal. And this is the guy who's coming from Nottingham Group. Okay. So we did an hyper-heuristic, and this guy will say that you have to test it on high flags. So this is the comment. And the reviewer, for every iteration, he said, you have to do this high flag. You have to do this high flag. And we told them, because we are doing a lot on testing. If we would do this high flag, then we would pollute the paper, because the paper is about testing. So, but we did an alternative. We did an alternative, another case study to satisfy this reviewer, and the reviewer finally agreed that I don't have to do this high flag problem. Because the paper is about testing, we told them that does not fit into our here. Nonetheless, the considered applied would mean a complete revamp of paper. Furthermore, our current is concerned T-way testing. What decision we have considered to comment as part of scope of future as follows. Even though we did not do, we still put in the future. And then one is what we put in the future. So we appreciate the suggestion. Okay, so you cannot do, you have to do something to do it. Okay, and this one another rebuttal here. Hard reviewer. Then you did a rebuttal. You explain to them your rebuttal. They have a review, but you have to explain to them. So in other words, for everything that you follow, you tell them. But you rebut, you have to rebut in the argument, in the real argument that can support your work. Okay. If I put here, Kendall asked me to do this, so I did this. because the guy is from his group. Yeah. Even that I gave in 2013. So regarding you have thoroughly decided and not dilute our main focus, focuses on search-based software engineering. This is not search-based software engineering, so that's why we didn't do it. Okay, so this is also another revision that they asked. We made a mistake. The editor was angry because we make mistakes, so we apologize for rushing our correction because we want to get accepted quickly. The day the reviewer give a comment today, tomorrow we send, and he was angry. You have to do properly, so we apologize. We apologize for rushing our correction. You really have not. This is my mistake also. We rushed because we want to publish. So excited, we get accepted. We just minor comment. We have addressed all the comment, but the editor one last comment. So we thought editor easy. So we take it lightly, and the editor was angry. Next time I'll reject your paper. So yeah. This is the last mission. They said if you don't do correct, we apologize, and we did the correction, and the paper get accepted. But after 8 rounds, last with the editor. Okay, so we apologize. See, we're being polite. At R5, okay, last R5. Okay, this is a summary of what we did. Some we did 8 months, some within 3 months. Some within 8 months, 3 months, 3 months. So on average, between 3 to 8 months to get a paper accepted. These are all in Q1 paper, okay? 3 to 8 months, okay? So lastly, ethical. When you write paper, please do be ethical. Don't copy from other people, okay? Don't do multiple submission, okay? You submit one to the other one, don't copy from other people. Don't plagiarize. Don't send your manuscript to second journal until you receive the first decision. If your article is being retracted, in Elsevier, for example, or even IEEE, they said retracted. They will not delete from this, and people will know this guy has a problem before, and your name is there. It's very embarrassing. So don't do this. Okay, they curse forever. Okay. So, in conclusion, keep the paper mill going. That's all the conclusion. Okay. Basically, what we did is, like I said earlier, in the introduction, let me summarize. Introduction, have a specific problem statement, write down your contribution, and then when you explain your literature review, try to group the current work into certain clusters, do a taxonomy, whatever, and review them, and then give comments on the work. And then so that you can put your contribution there, and then explain your work, do the diagram properly, iterate the algorithm properly, and then your experiment have the experimental goal, one to benchmark with others, the other one to demonstrate your novelty, okay? And then in the end, whenever you want to send to to reviewers, okay, make sure your paper or the diagrams or indentation, everything is okay, all right? And then you send to reviewer. When you get your reviewer's comment, try to address them in a very polite way. Even if you want to do rebuttal, you have to rebut in a, learn to write, learn to say in a very indirect way, soft. Now, while the work has been useful, however, our work focus on this so that you can rebut what the reviewer was saying, okay? And then from there, this don't plagiarize, don't copy from others. If you copy, you have to cite the thing, because if the papers get retracted, it'll be very embarrassing for you for the rest of your life. Okay, people know this guy has a paper in this, that paper has been retracted because of the ethical issues and so forth. So I hope with that, I thank you, everybody. I hope that what I give is actually useful to you. If they are useful, then it's good. If not useful for you, then you can, you can share with others and so forth. Okay, with that, I thank you. I thank you for your time. Thank you. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Thank you, Kamal.
Thank you, Prof. Kamal, for very informative sharing session. Now we open for the Q&A session. If you have any question for the physical audience first, face-to-face audience. We have about 100 plus participants in platform online platform this morning. Yeah. Maybe you can introduce yourself first.
Assalamualaikum everyone.
Salam.
Thank you, Dr. Kamal, for your presentation. It's very useful. I am Dr. Fazan from FTSM. I would like to ask two questions. The one question is when we submit the paper, sometimes it took around 6 months to 8 months. That time we lose the concentration from the paper as well. We forgot so many things as well. Then after we receive revision. So meanwhile, is it possible, or do you think is it nice to ping the editor after 2-3 months that what is the update? Although you can see that it's still under review. This is my first question. And second question is regarding the response you discussed, how to answer the question. But there are some comments which are, you can say that to address those questions is quite they are not even relevant for you. They ask you to put some things which you think, your supervisor thinks, or other doctors, the fourth are think that this will not give good impact on your paper. But you have to do it just to address the question, the reviewer comment. So how to tackle those questions? Thank you so much.
Okay, thank you. I think regarding the first one, regarding the first question, I think, yeah, you ought to ping them, but not every week. You know, I would say every month is a good one, but every week would be, you know, the editor will probably be angry at you, but every month it should be okay, I think. Mine, normally, the most difficult one is that when your paper is submitted, but it's within the editors, that sometimes editors are busy. There are papers where I send the editor whole until 1 month. And well, after I ping him, then he sent to reviewers, because some editor they forget. So yeah, but then when you go to reviewer, I think 3 months it's okay. 1 to 3 months you can, but not every week. Yeah, you can ask them. You know, could I always write politely. I've sent this paper. Could I know the status of my paper? Don't be angry at them saying, you know, you're not doing any your work or what. When my paper is going to be, you know, sent to reviewer or this kind of thing. So please do that. I think I face that problem also. There are people, reviewers, who, in my opinion, does not understand your work and want you to put other work inside this. First rule of thumb is you really have to satisfy the reviewer, meaning that you have to respond to it even though doing something else. I always respond to them that, for example, in my paper, they asked me to do high flag experiments, which actually for hyperrealistic. I told them, they say, because I did solve for one problem only. They say for hyperrealistic, you have to solve general purpose problem. So I have another problem as alternative. I suggest to the reviewer, I will solve another problem to address this problem. And this is also a second problem, which is not only one problem. And then he accepts. That means you have to do something with his comment. Don't brush away his comment by not doing anything. Although you know that this is not about my work. My work is about testing. Why he asked me to do this? Then that would pollute my paper, would make my paper not focus. But we don't write like that. But we told them, yeah, as our focus are software engineering, we propose an alternative. We solve this problem, also software engineering problem. And then he accept, yeah, because we have another problem. So we still address this problem, but in our way. We still address the problem. Please, you can rebut, but you really have to be careful when you do rebutting. But rebutting means you go against them, and that could be, some hard reviewers, that could be an issue. You know, when you rebut so much, then everything is rebuttal, okay? Or the comment or rebuttal, like, highly likely your paper will be rejected. Not all rebuttal, only one rebuttal or all, then okay. But all rebuttal, we're going to rebut this, we're going to all rebuttal, then that's not a good, you know, you really have to implement alternative to what he says. Maybe I have this, is that enough? Then he will say, okay, and then you. So the worst case is you cannot do anything, put in future work. That is the worst case. You can accept, say, I'll put in future work, but at least I did something to address the rebuttal. to address what he says, to respect what he says. Okay, rather than you don't put anything, at least put in the future work as one consideration of what he says. Okay, that's my opinion. Thank you.
Okay, one question from Cairo in Google in Meet platform. New model or new engine to the model, which is preferable?
New engine?
New model or new engine to the model?
New model.
New model.
Yeah, new model. You can new engine implementation. Sometimes implementation is just a matter of implementation. Theory is much better. You can explain. I will go for new model.
Second question from Prof Masri. So I just read the whatever she tagged in the chat platform. Assalamualaikum Prof Kamal. Thank you for sharing your education writing experience. It's very helpful. My question is, if we follow a work in the literature, but we found some errors, example, serial code errors, not consistent with the explanation in the paragraph, what we should try?
Okay. Yeah, this kind of thing, I've never done it, but I've seen what people have done it. You can write a paper which do a comment on this paper, but I have never done that. So in other words, you can argue against what is the problem of the methodology of that paper. You can make another paper. I know, because I know a lot of methods. There's a paper on TLBO, a comment on TLBO, where a note on TLBO, where it commented on the original TLBO flaw in designing the algorithm. But I've never tried that. But I guess whoever is going to write that kind of note must be very authoritative in the field of that area. If anybody can do that, then that would not be somebody an authoritative in the area, then can do that. I've seen one paper, a note on TLBO, I remember, in information sciences, where there's a paper in information science called TLBO, and there's some guy wrote a note about TLBO, which actually commented on the flaw on the original algorithm. So you can do that, but it has to be very, I've never tried this. Okay, that is a good experience to try, but I'm not, you have to be some expert to do this. Okay, I hope that answers the question.
Thank you, bro. Is there any question from audience in this room? Yeah, Dr. Huda.
Prof Kamal, can you share with us how do you deal with students who are they have different kind of skills, right? Some maybe they are very proficient in communication skills in programming, but yet they are not very competent in writing, for example. Another way, if let's say the student is competent in writing but not good in programming, how do you do this kind of situation when you come across this kind of students? And then another thing is, what is the best experience, best practices? Maybe you can share with us for writing, okay, with a group of writers. How do you do that? Is it you just let the students, we just give comment and let the students improve the paper, or you read together with your students? Can you share with us?
Okay, very difficult question and very difficult role supervisory to play with. Okay, I think because this is my own personal experience. Okay, I told my PhD student who want to do PhD under me, I told them doing PhD is like marriage. Okay, so I give you my requirement. This is my requirement, and most people run away. Initially, when I would start my career, most people run away. I don't want to be you because I give this. I expect this. If you don't this, you don't graduate. Okay, so early. So then I filter out the people who are not. You can do good programming. Or you can, I do look like an interview. I expect this. If you want to do under me, you have to do this. Otherwise, it's going to be difficult under me. So then I lose people. But there are people who are good, but in the middle they become not so good. And this is the problem we have because we filter them early. But there are people who are get through your filters, okay? And they are the one who are, for example, I had a student, one Iraqi student, who told me he's good in programming. When I give you an assignment, he doesn't know. So I told him, if you work under me, I don't think you will finish. You have to find somebody else who are there. In the end, he did a survey kind of PhD. So then I told them the truth. Okay, sometimes you have to tell the truth to the student because you expect them this, and then don't keep them. And then because if you the early you sort of ask them to go out, the better for them. Rather than after 5 years, then you said, he's not good programming. After 5 years he spent with you. It's a waste of his time. So you have to be brutal to be kind. To tell them, I don't think you can work with me because I expect you to have this kind of skill. If you work with me, I cannot help you with this. So it's better for you to find an area where you're good with, and then they leave. Okay? Then you have to be because sometimes you can help them, but you cannot be helping them until everything is written for them. Everything you cannot. You have to help them. I agree. I help my student with the coding also. So they having a problem, we code together, okay, with my student. But they are also, without me, they can code also. Meaning, although I help them, doesn't mean that they don't know. But you cannot be coding to somebody who doesn't know anything. I don't know this, how this look, and then this is the kind of thing, you cannot work with me. But if there are people who cannot solve the problem, but they know coding, but they need your help, then I will go and help them in the lab with them. I show them, okay, this is what you should do. But that is okay. But really, you have to be nice. You have to be brutal, but nice. Don't leave them 2 years, 3 years under you, and then you found out they cannot do programming. Then that will waste your time and their time. So I told the student last time, if you want to write many Q1 paper, come work with me. Okay, you want to write ISI paper, work with me. You don't like to write, then maybe I'm not the maybe I'm not a good supervisor for you because I'm very strict on you. You have to do this. Then you have to. I told you my early careers I was very tough with the student. No Q1, no graduation. Yeah, very tough. But as time goes along, you become you become slow. You become nicer. But early part of my student all finished 4 years, 4 years. But later finish 3 years, 2 years, 2 years and a half. Then because I know what the game, how the game is played. Before I don't know, not sure. So I will put in the Viva, say in Q1 nobody will reject, so pass. So but then now then you can. But still, you have to tell the student your expectation when they first register. And if you cannot, some people they want to take because they want student. Cannot. You have a student who can work with you. We have the same area, we have the same skill that you desire to help them do research. Then you have to be fair to the students because the student pay tuition and you don't want them to waste their time with you. So you have to be brutal but nice. So that's my answer. I hope that answers the question.
Okay, one more question from the participant at online platform. What are the tools that you use for collect the papers from ULR? Any tool that you can recommend to store, arrange, compile, and manipulate other papers content you are required from other papers? And what are the tools for drawing and drawing and images?
Okay, all right. I think the tool for you just use Web of Science. They don't have any tools. They store it there, then you. But I do store a paper for my area that when new student come, I give them this paper you have to read. I have that. Okay. For I think for drawing tool, I use Visio. I use Visio. I'm not promoting Visio, so I get money from them, but I really use them. And then one of the things you should use also, student must use Mendeley or EndNote. Must use. They cannot do manual. Manual always have mistakes. Okay, and to do it, your data has to be in order for them to work well. That's the first thing you have to do, and be easier for you to write papers if you use EndNote. And you have a database of our area, you have a database of papers in our area. So when the student came, you gave them this, and then they have all the papers related to this. And EndNote also can keep the PDF files inside, but I don't use that much. I just use it as reference tool. That's all.
Thank you, Prof. Is there any question from participant? Only one question. I didn't have one question.
I thought you were warning me.
Prof, I might be asking this question on behalf of other lecturers. I know that in the past we are holding like the deanship. I was amazed with your long list of genuine high impact journals that have been published during your deanship. Since I get to know you, so I just wonder how do you manage your times, meaning that holding the deans and now you are holding the high positions that you still manage to publish, in high reputable journals. So how do you go about it?
Okay, that is a very difficult question. I think the first thing is you have to what I call it. You have to love what you're doing. You have to like what you're doing. When you do it, you don't feel that you're doing it actually because of a pressure from other people. You're doing it because you like to do it. When you like to do it, when you do it, you don't feel like it's actually a work. It's actually something that you like to do. For example, you like to go fishing. Every day you go fishing. People say, why you do fishing? What do you get? But I like fishing. This kind of thing. You really have to like what you do. And it doesn't matter what position you are, I think Prof. Sawani is much better person than me. So so she'll be better than me. But you really have to like what you're doing. And then when you like what you're doing, what you did becomes, like mancing, bukan stress pun, you suka buat. Okay? And when you like to do it, then it doesn't feel like work. Okay, and you really have to. And I was a dean also for 5 years maybe. So 4 years, 5 years, yeah. So yeah, you have this problem when you have become dean and you are Myra, and you have to call all the lecturers who are not publishing, and you have to. I called them, and I told them, look, I set the KPI for professor, 3 ISI every year, Q1. So I achieved. So what is your problem you cannot achieve? Because I also achieve, although I'm doing admin. And they normally being embarrassed with it, and they did it because they malu pada dekan pun buat. Okay, not dekan bagi KPI, dekan tak buat. Okay. And so this kind of thing, yeah, you have to tackle like that, and then you allow them to be in your group. If you have any problem, we can do paper together. This kind of thing that opens up. Because they're like I said, doing research, you like it, then you don't feel like it's actually a burden to do it. Especially I'm doing only on my area, okay, not other area I also don't know. Okay, so the area that I like, and I did it. So I think same to everybody. If I can do it, I am the same as you, born like you, have the same eye, same leg as you. So we are same brain as you, so we're all the same. So then that means what I can do is everybody can do. There's no miracle. I'm just a normal guy like you. Okay? I'm just orang biasa. I boleh buat, you pun boleh buat. Okay, there's nothing great about me. Okay, thank you.
Yeah, one question from Dr. Hadi. For your information, Prof. Kamal able to write even though he is in the meeting or even though he chaired the meeting.
Run eksperimen je. Right, Prof.
Okay, Assalamualaikum Prof. Saya Dr. Hadi. Saya pada tuan-tuan. Apa nasihat Prof pada peserta muda yang sedang berwarna up ni dalam dengan banyak researcher yang working on the same field, jadi kita akan susah tembus our area yang kita nak fokus kan. So what will be your advice to our person new business in this area? Thank you.
Okay, like I said earlier, first thing, look at your strength. Look at your strength. What is your strength yourself? What is the thing you're good at? If you're good at programming, then you know, okay, I've got to work something on programming that relate to programming. Your interest also, and then focus on that area. Try to publish, get your grant, whatever from that area. So that when people ask you, what is your area of expertise? You can tell them, oh, my area is this. How do you know it's your area? Okay, look at my grant. All have word testing. All have my publication. All have a word testing. Then my work is testing. Then people will know. Oh, rather than you do so. Being a new lecturer, because it doesn't count now. It counts when you try to apply for professor next time. What's your area? My area, computer science. Yeah, computer science. What area? Well, I did my database. I did software engineering. I did this. I did more. So everything I did. Okay. There's no profess. There's a word professor. Okay. You profess in certain area, then you become expert in certain area. So you can start planning from now. My suggestion is you pick an area and then try to attack that area. If you find T-way testing, sekarang ni ramai lah sebab ramai my student. But before this T-way testing, ada nama satu orang yang keluar. Okay, this one guy doing T-way testing. Okay, dan now banyak lah, ada 5 orang kacau saya punya territory. Because they were my former students. Okay, also, but before, then you find an area like that, then you can work on it, and then work on so that people will know, associate your name with that kind of this. And then when people ask you, yeah, I did T-way testing, then people know, oh, he did a lot of T-way testing. For example, that rather than doing everything, jack of all trades, try to focus on certain area. And the way to do is look at yourself, study yourself. What is my strength? What limitation is saya tak suka buat survey. Tak minat lah pergi survey. Janganlah buat area tentang survey. Survey mana kepuasan pelanggan, survey ni, survey ni, survey. You don't like it, don't do this. Do something that you like. Then it feels like your natural work because you like to do it rather than a burden to do it. So that's the only, and then selalunya lecturer ni, because I was from USM. So kan USM ni kan strict semua, professor semua rimau belaka. So satu yang saya takut nak gradekan student ni. Student kata 3 tahun, can you send? No. Q1 first, then send. No. So I became, because keliling professor semua, kita doktor je. Okay, doktor je masuk professor, oh ini apa ni. Tapi kalau ada Q1 dia pun tak berani cakap apa, ada Q1. Okay. Senyap sikit. Okay. So that's what I did. Maknanya you have to, as you go senior, then you learn the game. You know that this is contribute, this is not contribute. Before you are not sure. Then you become, semua lecturer macam ni kot, dia tak sure. Boleh grade student ni, cukup ke tak ni? Cukup ke tak? This is my experience. Tak cukup ni, kan gagal student aku ni. Gagal dia kan. So not sure kan. As you go along, you learn, oh this contribute. That's why there are 2 slides I had before. For all my students, I asked them, does you fit in this contribution list? If you fit, then okay. If not, then we have to rethink. And don't do something that nobody has done. This is the worst thing that you did. Because what nobody has not done, do something nobody has not done, because sometimes the thing that is being done is actually not a contribution at all. Jalan itik daripada fakulti ke masjid. So, okay. Tak ada orang buat lagi dalam dunia ni. Kat UK ada 50 tahun, tak pernah orang jalan itik lagi. But it's a useful thing to do. Tak pernah buat lagi. So then that's not a good thing. You know, you really have to think along that way. Okay, so my advice like this, you focus on few areas, mungkin bukan 1, 2, 3 lah. And then attack your problem from the area and then try to improve yourself. So again, from my experience only, so I only said, kalau experience tu valid to you, please do so. Kalau tidak, tell others lah. That's the only thing I can say. Thank you.
Thank you, Prof. I think we need to stop this session. Again, thanks, Prof, for the valuable inputs, advice, and tips to us this morning. Now I would like to invite Prof. Hawani to present a mentor token to Prof. Kamal. Please welcome.